Welcome to the graduation of the class of 2019. For the members of the class of 2019, for the family members in attendance, for me, there have been many changes in the past 4 years, some more obvious than others. But there is certainly no doubt we are all different because of the experiences we have shared together since matriculation in August of 2015. I am excited to watch you walk across the stage today. The class of 2019 has accomplished so much in so little time that it makes me wonder what more they have in store for us. I can't wait to visit them in college or speak with them when they return to campus. It is my pleasure to introduce the valedictorian of the class of 2019. He is an accomplished singer, competitive ping pong player, who knew, right? Loves airplanes, obviously intellectually gifted, academically curious, and he's a Harker lifer. He proclaims to have a passion for science, engineering, and robotics. Mr. Silk, his advisor, says, though quiet, his passion to explore new ideas is contagious. It's no surprise that his classmates cheered when his name was given as the graduation speaker. He truly embodies the ideals of learning for the love of learning. He was the principal organizer of all-girls VEX robotics workshops hosted at Google, with support from the Robotics Education and Competitive Foundation in order to help promote diversity in STEM. He had my admiration at his enjoyment of learning for the sake of knowledge. My admiration grew with his desire to promote diversity in an area where he is so passionate, robotics. The clincher for me, though, was when I learned that he founded a nonprofit organization called Robotics Without Limits to provide unique learning opportunities for children with special needs through interactive, hands-on robotics workshops. When we ask our students to give back, to give to others, he has clearly risen to the challenge. It is my pleasure to introduce Kaushik.
Thank you, Mr. Keller. Friends, families, faculty, administrators, and most importantly, the class of 2019. Today, we gather for a perhaps more enjoyable version of class meeting. In order to celebrate a remarkable milestone in an even more remarkable journey. Together as a class, 192 strong, we've gone through 4 years of intense academic preparation and extracurricular involvement. But we haven't just survived, we've thrived. We've had quite a bit of fun along the way. Of course, I'm referring to how our class won Spirit 3 times and made senior surprise a little extra surprising. It's safe to say that each of us has changed in our very own ways throughout high school. We have transformed from freshmen exploring the inner workings of none other than F equals MA into responsible individuals capable of more than we ourselves thought possible. Each and every member of our graduating class has so much to be proud of. And much like in high school, we are bound to succeed in new and unprecedented ways as we head to college. Sometimes, we may wish to attribute our successes to ourselves, but the fact of the matter is that we are the aggregate of the influences of many others who have shaped us into who we are. And that begins with our parents. Too often, in the bustle of our everyday lives, we forget to take a moment and appreciate the countless sacrifices they've made for us. Nobody is more responsible for the values we hold and the people we have become than our parents. They've stood by our side since the beginning and will until the very end, wishing only the best for us. Beyond our parents, we've had the privilege of learning from Harker faculty, who have worked tirelessly to ensure that we receive an education that will prepare us for success, not just in their respective fields, but in our lives. And I'm sure we've all found something to take away from each teacher and class. In English, we learned how to appreciate, analyze, and ultimately learn from literature. In physics and chemistry, we developed an understanding of the world around us, and in biology, the world within us. In history, we learned how to not just analyze the past, but also make connections between cultures and civilizations to snag that one precious synthesis point. Before we celebrate any victory or success, we have to acknowledge the crucial roles parents and faculty, as well as other teachers, coaches, mentors, and even peers have had to play in that very accomplishment. But we can't stop there either. We need to take time to contemplate upon the opportunities we've had to grow personally and academically over the years. One encounter I had just this year helped me realize how incredibly lucky we are to have had such a wonderful array of opportunities available to us. In January, I had the chance to meet some robotics teams from Ukiah and Paradise, located a few hours north of here. Talking to one of their coaches, I was immediately struck by his description of how his program was in desperate need of funding and had been severely impacted by the wildfires in their area. One of the teams he helped actually had to work from a mall after their school burned to the ground as a result of the fires last fall. At this point, I felt almost guilty that our private robotics club had access to parts and tools whenever we needed them. And yes, this is just one example pertaining to a robotics team. But if we look at the world from this angle, we'll quickly realize that very few people have had access to the same opportunities that we Harker students have had. To name a few, the plethora of advanced topics courses we have the privilege of choosing from, the Science Research Symposium, and the Near Mitra Scholarship Program for Research in the Humanities. Because students like us have been gifted with the educational background and resources that many people can only dream of, it is our duty, more than anything else, to make the most of what we have as we ready ourselves to depart on our own distinct journeys. But how do we make the most of what we have? Yes, we've had a great education, which we can put to use right away. But what we know is dwarfed by what we don't. If there's one thing we should take away from our high school years, it wouldn't be what we've learned. Instead, it would be the desire to learn more, which manifests itself as curiosity. In order to thrive within the world we find ourselves, we have to ask questions, lots of them. And, in particular, we must never, ever hesitate to ask the question, why? We might find a way to get through our lives without asking this question. We can always, in fact, find a way to do the bare minimum, something we've become accustomed to this past semester. We can ask the fewest questions possible and simply ride the currents that carry us. But, as Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. If we really wish to make an impact, what we do has to go far, far beyond the bare minimum, which means that each one of us needs to possess a healthy amount of curiosity and skepticism for many reasons. First, knowing the why behind all we do helps us understand our own actions better while helping us maintain perspective and make the right decisions. For example, knowing the reasons behind certain rules and regulations makes us much more willing to comply with them and alternatively advocate for changing them while preserving their intentions. Or, knowing why a particular area of study is beneficial for us in the long run makes us much more motivated to pursue it and become more proficient in it. Another reason for asking why is that if we don't question and seek deeper understanding, our knowledge of a subject may remain superficial and ineffective when it comes to applying it. Let's take an example. Captain Sully, who became famous for the miracle on the Hudson, when, after a bird strike, he successfully glided his aircraft and 150 passengers to a safe water landing. In his book, while reflecting on his formal education at Purdue, he says, "It was helpful to get an academic and scientific perspective on the underlying reasons for procedural requirements in flight." He continued, "When you're learning how to be a pilot, you're often taught the correct procedures to follow, but not always why those procedures are important." Thank Thankfully, due to his experience and also his formal education, Captain Sully had an extremely deep understanding of each of the systems on his plane and procedures in place. Knowing the underlying reason behind the items on his checklists helped him to face a new situation he hadn't even trained for and prioritize the items that were actually important in order for him to make the best use of the mere minutes he had and save the lives of the passengers on board. Like Sully, we too can face new situations fearlessly, only if we have a deep enough understanding that we've acquired through prior curiosity. A third and very important reason for asking why and questioning the status quo is that it has led to some of mankind's greatest inventions. If we continue asking the question of why, someone might respond with, "I don't know," or "That's how we've always done it." It is moments like these, brought about by our own curiosity, that also have the power to spark innovation. SpaceX was born when entrepreneur Elon Musk asked, "If we can reuse airplanes, why do we keep throwing away rockets?" The Boring Company was founded after Musk asked, "Why does our transportation network only use 2 dimensions when we have access to 3? Amazon, one of the world's most valuable companies now, was created when Bezos asked, "Why do we have to leave our home to find a book?" Frankly, it's remarkable just how much power a willingness to challenge the status quo by asking the simple question of why really has. Finally, staying curious and vowing to dig deeper can lead to discovery. For example, Galileo questioned, challenged, and investigated the prevailing idea that heavier objects fall at a faster rate. Soon enough, after some experimentation, he discovered that this was a false belief that his contemporaries had accepted without questioning, leading Galileo to become known as the father of modern physics. Or take Percy Spencer, who was working on radar systems for the US in preparation for World War II. One day, when he was working with a magnetron, one of the components of radar, he noticed that a chocolate bar he had in his pocket melted faster than he had expected. So what did he do next? He asked why. He dug deeper and found the culprit, radiation emitted by his magnetron. He then aimed his device at popcorn kernels, and they popped. And it was this discovery that led to the microwave oven, something we take for granted and use on a daily basis. It came into existence only because someone happened to be inquisitive and go above and beyond their job's requirements. So, asking why can help us all grow personally, face new situations with confidence, innovate, and discover. Now, this is not to say that curiosity can't be dangerous to humans. Perhaps the most illustrative example is a Russian physicist by the name of Anatoly Bugorsky, who decided to peer inside a particle accelerator while it was in operation. If being inquisitive leads you into the line of fire of a 76 giga-electron-volt beam of relativistic protons, you've gone a little too far. We don't need to put on such excessive displays of curiosity to reap its benefits. Instead, it's the everyday manifestation of our desire to learn more and go beyond surface level and dig a little bit deeper that really matters. Maybe it's mustering the courage to ask our professor the reasons behind the decisions of certain political leaders. Or maybe it's asking our music teacher why certain dynamics fit the song we're playing. Or maybe it's asking our sports coach the reason a certain technique they've taught us is effective and beneficial. Yes, being inquisitive takes effort, and it may not always lead to a practical and immediately visible result. But if we make the asking of the question why an integral part of our lives, every once in a while, we might invent the microwave, we might save the hundreds of passengers on our plane, or we might get a revolutionary idea to start a new company. The bottom line is, asking why can help us all make a difference, something that hopefully is an end goal for each and every one of us. Coming out of Harker, we've been equipped with the skills we need to make an impact. The world will remember us by, more than anything else, what we did for society. As Rosa Parks said, memories of our lives, our works, and our deeds will continue in others. And what we do for others could range from business to code to music to art to medicine to writing to research to enabling others to do the very same. We should take advantage of what we've been given and in the process, give back to society, and especially those who don't have access to the same resources, like those robotic students in Ukiah and Paradise. If we think big and question the world around us by asking why, we will most definitely have the chance to make a contribution to humanity. After all, we, with a home to live in, food to eat, a supportive family, having gone through a world-class academic program, with access to virtually unlimited educational opportunities inside and outside the classroom, have more than what it takes to make a lasting impact. Which brings me back to the moment. Today, we prepare to leave the Harker campus, but not the Harker community. The friendships we've made, the times we've spent, and the moments we've shared will last a lifetime. It's been my honor to spend my high school years with a class as diverse, spirited, and talented as our own. I certainly hope that this isn't the last time we see each other, because saying goodbye isn't going to be easy. Before I declare my last assignment after 13 years at Harker finished, I'd like to quote a man who's had an undeniable impact on our childhood and has taught us many invaluable lessons. Albus Dumbledore, of course, who said, "It matters not what someone is born, but what they grow to be." We can choose who we want to become in the next chapter of our lives. Whether we make the right decisions and become the best we can possibly be is up to us, and only us. In that time, let's be grateful for what we've been given and make the most of it. Let's never forget to ask why and question the status quo. Let's strive to make a difference in people's lives because we can. Let's go make Harker proud of its one and only class of 2019. Thank you.